Hey guys, Meridius here, and today I wanted to share with you a game I've watched almost as closely as I was with EverQuest Next, and that game is Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, being developed by Visionary Realms and the same guy who had a lot to do with EverQuest 1 and my personal favorite, Vanguard City of Heroes, and that is Brad McWad. Pantheon Rise of the Fallen promises to bring meaning back to the MMO industry, and while that may sound like the typical new MMORPG slogan, I mean it. On March 11th, the same day Daybreak announced EverQuest Next was being cancelled, Visionary Realms decided to hold its very first gameplay stream on Twitch, where we got to see just a lot of the awesome things that make it apparent Pantheon is indeed trying to bring back meaning to MMOs. In the gameplay you're watching, you see a group of people actively fighting single mobs at a time. This is my first point. I've played Terra, Guild Wars 2, and probably most inherent to my point, I've played Dynasty Warriors Online. In these games, a single mob, or sometimes bosses, means nothing. In fact, if you start any of these games, or any other MMORPG, not just the ones listed, you've probably killed hundreds or multiple hundreds of single mobs or ads within the first hour of gameplay. But what if you played a game where soloing entity, skeleton, or animal was a challenge? Now I understand this may put people off, but ultimately this will once again encourage people to always play in groups, whether with friends in real life or people you encounter on your journeys. And it doesn't end in simple creatures we find in the forest. Although we haven't been able to see this yet, the same concept is being implemented within raids, meaning we just may have one of the hardest boss battles we've ever encountered, and that alone can get someone like me excited. But I'm not stopping here. There are plenty of things that make Pantheon something to be excited for. Another one of my personal favorite is climate, and I'm not just talking about a night and day system. I'm talking about real person versus environment content, where depending on your location, let's say as a mage, determines your skills of yours that are empowered or maybe impaired. This is a system being called colored mana, or where old rags that you get from just creating your character simply won't do in snowy regions to the south, because let's face it, no one likes to freeze to death. All of this, I believe, goes into making a world where the player can immerse themselves in, and I've just scratched the surface when it comes to what this game has to offer immersion-wise. From a system called Progandy, where you can retire your character and have your son or daughter continue your adventures, to completely optional but meaningful and lore-deep questing, and not even mentioning the world itself. But fine, maybe you're not into deep immersion into the world you're playing, and not a fan of combat being challenging and somewhat slow-paced. Cool, that's why I've saved the best and maybe worst depending on your situation for my final point. I think I'll read an excerpt from Pantheon's FAQ that'll give you a better idea of what I'm talking about. Will there be a death penalty? We want the player to respect and even fear the environment, but also to be enticed by it. A big part of achieving this balance is making sure there is an incentive to avoid death. While the details of this system are not yet fleshed out, and will likely be tweaked and changed during beta, you can expect death to be something you'd rather avoid. That said, if a death penalty is too severe, it can keep players away from some of the more challenging and rewarding content, and we are keeping this in mind as well. So death will sting, but it will not involve losing an unreasonable amount of experience or levels or a permanent loss of items. Like it said in what I just read, I think a lot of games struggle with giving death a meaning, and most games, especially modern MMORPGs, get rid of it entirely, which is fair. Getting a death penalty wrong can be catastrophic to a game. If the death penalty follows that of a roguelike game, players will never try out challenging content in fear of their character dying for good or losing what could have taken literally months, maybe even a year, of equipment. So I believe the number one reason you should be excited for Pantheon is because the guys behind Visionary Realms gets it. I didn't by any means cover everything, but everything I did cover, and that's on the site at pantheonmmo.com, says that they've looked at everything MMORPG players have wanted, missed, and even needed in an MMO, and have come up with a solution. I'm not saying this game is perfect or will be perfect. They still have a long way to go before they can get it in our hands. But how it is as of today is definitely something that we as MMO players can be excited about. So thank you guys for watching my video. You can definitely expect more discussion videos about Pantheon Rise of the Fallen in the near future. I'm currently thinking about doing like an evaluation video of the gameplay footage that we got yesterday, and that footage being some of the footage that you've seen in this video here. But overall, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.